Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader. We've got some loose graded vintage Star Wars figures to cover. Before I dig in, please consider subscribing to the channel, leaving me a like, as it does help out with the YouTube stupid algorithms. Lots of different loose graded AFA, CAS, UKG, everything from early figures. We got some Japanese poppy, just a really nice mix of different items, including one SB Products Turkish Uzay bootleg that was loose graded by AFA, which you don't see very often. So some very interesting sales, buy it nows as well as auctions. This was a buy it now for a UKG 80% old case style vinyl cape Jawa. Feels like an 80 to me. Just looking, I was looking at the photos. There might be some light staining on the back of the cape there, but in general, it feels like a pretty good candidate to get recased, and it would hold the grade pretty well. That one was listed for 1,800 pounds, which is 2,400 bucks. We've seen a lot of vinyl cape Jawas lately. There was a UKG 90 new case style that sold in an auction for about $2,800 US. So this is probably on the upper end of the price range for a UKG 80 old case style. But you know, near mint plus, you're probably in that ballpark of anywhere from, I'd say, $2,200 all the way up to $3,200, $3,500, depending on the case style, when it was graded, things like that. And speaking of when it was graded, I did want to point out this Princess Leia AFA 85. I feel like the photos are like highly saturated and maybe some shadows were used. So you don't know whether there is any discoloration, for sure anyway, between the arms and legs and the torso. At first blush, it feels like maybe there might be, but it could just be bad photos. I'm not trying to accuse the seller of anything. Does it feel like an 85 to me looking at it? Yes. But, you know, one tip that I would recommend for, especially for white figures that are high grade and expensive, like this one sold for $595, you know, take that certification number, go to AFA's website, find out when it was graded. You know, if it was a recent grade, then it's probably okay. If it was graded 10 years ago, or maybe not 10 years ago because it's got the new case style, but I think the new case style came out in like 2019, somewhere in that ballpark. So if it was graded right around then maybe there's some risk that it's discolored since then. But Stormtrooper, Luke Farm Boy, Princess Leia, First 12, you know, those white figures, if you're paying for a high 85 plus, 90 grade, just check it out on the website first. It's free to do. Just create an account, a free account. And it just, you know, you want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. The only reason my radar got raised a little bit looking at this one, just because the photos were not super clear. It just feels like the saturation is off on the photos. So is the seller hiding maybe some discoloration? I don't know. Again, not accusing the seller of anything. I'm just saying that the photos don't look super crisp, and you're kind of rolling the dice, dropping 600 bucks on one loose graded figure, unless you've done the research and are satisfied with it. I didn't do it for this one, but it's just something that I don't drill enough on this channel. I don't even do it sometimes myself. I should. We've got the resources available. You might as well take advantage of them. Find out when it was graded. Get the story behind it. Maybe ask for better photos, things like that. But that one did sell for $595. There have been a couple of AFA 85 Leias that have sold closer to $500 or even slightly below that lately. So $595 is definitely on the upper end of the scale in today's market. A year ago, yeah, $595 was kind of standard, but I think that prices have come down a little bit. Here's another one where I don't think the price paid makes much sense. This was a buy it now for a CAS 90 grade Hong Kong R2-D2, graded in 2023, as you can see on the label there, which I do like that CAS does that. They have, for the recent releases, you know, over the last 5 years or so, they do have the date when it was graded. Would I pay $1,450 for a standard solid dome R2-D2 Hong Kong CAS 90? No. Would I pay even half that price? The answer is no. You know, we talk about it all the time. I'm not trying to crap on CAS, but CAS does tend to grade slightly higher than AFA. And without a population report to kind of fall back on, it's that CAS doesn't have, AFA does. You know, I think $1,450. That's the price I'd pay for a mint on card, like a 12C mint on card in high grade, versus a loose graded 90 from CAS for $1,450. I'm just being honest with you. I wouldn't pay $700 for this. I think in an auction, this probably goes for less than half that number of $14.50. But apparently someone did buy it. And again, I'm not picking on anybody, but it does feel like a drastic overpay relative to what a CAS 90 would normally go for. And maybe I'm being cheap. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe in an auction, this would go for close to that number. I don't think it would, though, personally. I think it would be a real struggle to get anywhere close to $1,000 bucks. $700 even, I think is a stretch for a CAS 90. Some diecast, all of these I had in my what to buy video a couple of weeks ago. They all did sell. I could not pull them up on the 130point.com website where you can look up the best offer accepted. They weren't showing up for some reason. Don't know why, but all three of them did sell. Congrats whoever got those. They were nice. UKG 85 diecast snow speeder. It was best offer accepted with a list price of £295. The Falcon is a tough one to get in an 85 grade just because it's got so many little sharp edges in terms of the texture. That one was listed for £395, best offer accepted. Very tough to get that one in an 85, though. And then the Imperial Cruiser is certainly one of the tougher ones. I like, again, how they encase it and have the Tantive 4 plug-in piece displayed next to it. That one was an 85 grade from UKG, and that one was listed for £395 as well. Best offer accepted on that one. So really nice examples. All three of those did sell. This was an 85 plus Taiwan Boba Fett. That one sold in an auction for $261. That seems really low to me. The blaster looks correct. It looks like it's the correct Taiwan blaster. Really surprising that it went that low. There are some picky collectors that will notice that the head is turned to one side like that, and they just won't bid on it. So maybe that was part of it. But for an 85 plus, that's a really good price. That's more in keeping with what an 85 goes for. To me, that seems like a really good deal at $261. This one was another one I sent to my Patreon supporters. I don't know if any of you all bought it or not, but this was the Spanish Puck Boba Fett graded UKG 70%. I know that's a low grade, but this is a very expensive figure, very rare figure. Even loose ungraded, they sell for this price very consistently, if not higher on Facebook. So this one was listed for £650 and did sell. That equates to $871 US. Again, I see them sell for that price or more in this condition on Facebook ungraded. So I don't think that was a bad price at all. Treasures from the Attic always has really nice Spanish figures, and always happy to show these items because I've bought from this seller, been very, very happy with them. The same seller had this one. This is one I really wanted. I wanted this one bad. It did sit for a little while, but it did finally sell. This is the red-haired Princess Leia Bespin Spanish Puck figure. You can see there that the hair has got a very kind of reddish brown color to it, and just a totally different color scheme. Obviously, the COO is totally different. Really great figure. It got the 85. You could maybe make an argument that it's a little overgraded. It's got some chipping on the hands, but please remember when you're looking at Spanish figures, UKG does it right in that they grade them a little looser. Even AFA does too. I've noticed it with my AFA Spanish figures. They grade them a little looser than they would like a standard Hong Kong figure, as they should. The factory, right out of the factory, they had blemishes. They had really poor paint apps, bad sonic welding, just sloppy paint apps. So, you know, they should, in my opinion, grade those a little looser than the factories that had their act together, like the Hong Kong or Taiwan factory or Palatoy factory, things like that. So I think it's an 85. Personally, I would have paid this price in a heartbeat. I just didn't want to spend any money when it was listed. But that was a beauty. 525 pounds is what it sold for, which is $703. I think he's got another one coming here soon, and I would love to get that one. That's one I really would like to have for my Leia Bespin collection. So I might keep an eye out for it. I'm really trying hard to not spend any more money. It's been going on 4 weeks now that I haven't bought anything. So I'd like to keep the gravy train rolling in terms of keeping my money in my wallet. This is one that a Patreon supporter picked up. Really nice pickup for a UKG 80% PBP Snaggletooth. Graded UKG 80, new case style for 85 pounds. That's a good deal. 113 US. Trusted seller, stay on target 77, friend of the channel. And he never asked me to kind of highlight his items. I just do it because he's got great fair prices for different high grade UKG items. So probably a good seller to include in your saved sellers list on eBay. Always listing really nice high-grade figures, no COOs or Hong Kongs, or like this one, the Spanish figure, for very, these are really, really good prices. UKG 85s would sell for double that price sometimes, so I thought that was a very fair price for a UKG 80. Two Japanese POPYs sold from Gold Star Tech in an auction. First is the POPY C-3PO. This is just displayed with everything still in the box. AFA 80 on that one. That one sold for $480. Pretty good deal there. And then here was the AFA 85 Han Solo. This is kind of the more traditional display format that AFA uses, where it shows the baggie and then the two little catalogs that are included inside that box. AFA 85, that one did sell for $685, a price I'd pay in a heartbeat. Worth every bit of that. 85, 90, 80 were the sub-scores on that one. So that one was a stunner. Beautiful example. 685 in an auction. Valtza Yavin had this cool one. This was a green stitch on hood Jawa. So when it says that, it's really a mixed stitch, right? So it's got a green stitch around the hood and then a different stitch for the sleeves and the hem of the robe. So that's kind of a cool one there. I like that. That's one I don't have in my collection. That was AFA 80 plus and sold for $480 or best offer. Here was the one that I implored you guys to buy, and one of y'all did buy it. I don't know who, but this is the dark brown paint, no COO Tusken Raider. These are very tough to find. In the AFA population report, I forgot the number, but it's like 7 or 8 that have been graded by AFA. Mine's a UKG 80%. This was an AFA 80 plus, and it was listed for about the same price, maybe a little more than what I paid for my UKG 80%. $525 on that one, worth every penny, one of less than 10 on the population report from AFA. I don't know why, but the no COO and the Spanish POC Tusken Raider, there are very few of them available graded by AFA or UKG. I mean, they're just really tough to find. So great pickup, whoever got that one. This was a great deal. This was a baggie, Return of the Jedi F baggie for Darth Vader, graded CAS 80. That one sold in an auction for $142.50. Great deal on that. And then some other Darth Vaders that sold, again, going back to Stay on Target 77. He had this blank race bar Darth Vader. These appeared in the mail away from the Clipper factory in Amsterdam, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I'm just going on memory. It's like a Clipper mail away box. I've got the box, the mail away box set for this. But included in that Clipper mail away was the blank raised bar Darth Vader. So as a result, he tends to be pretty desirable, even loose ungraded. They typically sell for this price. I know that Chris sold one for about this price ungraded. So, and it had the correct saber, which is tough to find. It is a factory specific saber. So that one was a beauty. It's got kind of a textured cape to it. They don't mention that, but you can see there, it looked like it had a little bit of texture to the cape, which I don't know much about the blank raised bar, but it does feel like it's a slightly different texture to the cape. It obviously has the blank raised bar on the back of the leg, and then it does have a very specific, it's almost like a darker red saber, if memory serves, and it looks like that in the photo. So that was sold for 95 pounds too. That was a great deal from Stay on Target. Next up, there were two that sold at auction. First is a Darth Vader Lili Ledy, so made in Mexico with a lettered saber. And it looks like the correct saber, thicker tip saber. And that one sold for $226.50. It was graded CAS 85. And then here was another one. This was a AFA graded PBP textured cape, AFA 80. That one sold for $280. Great deal on that one. And hopefully you can't really see it in the photos, but we talk about the Spanish PBP Vader. It either has a smooth cape or a textured cape like this one. It almost looks like a faux leather. Or I think there is also a textured with a smooth side on one smooth side and one textured side. So there's like 3 or 4 different cape variations for the Spanish PBP. But that one was a beauty. $280 for that one, AFA 80. Next up, we had a CAS 90 plus Luke Skywalker Jedi. And I don't know which COO it was. This was a Taiwan green saber, 90 plus. I've never gotten a 90 plus for any vintage Kenner submission. 90 is the highest grade I've got. I do like how CAS displays Luke Jedi. That's my favorite display format. Some people prefer the AFA format where the cape is behind it. These do take up a lot of space. That's the only negative about this format, but that's a nice example. $325 was the buy it now price, and that one did sell. Another great display from CAS is this Wicket with the Power of the Force coin, graded CAS 85 plus. That one sold for $400. Big number there, but I just feel like these custom displays with the coin really do. If you got the space for them on your shelf, that's a really nice display. And Wicket is always a fan favorite. So $400 on that one. And then finally, here is that Uzay Turkish Bootleg for the Emperor's Royal Guard. And there are two different versions. One that came with no cloak, which is what this one is. And there's one that did come with a cloak. And he did come with a pike, a force staff. And this one was qualified graded by AFA because it had no weapon. And so it was Emperor's Royal Guard without cloak, which was a variation. There was, again, one with the cloak, but this one did not come with a cloak, but it did come with a weapon. So it got the qualified grade from AFA. I don't know if they're still doing this for for Uzay Turkish Bootlegs, the qualified grade. It's just so hard to find the weapons sometime for these Turkish bootlegs. They've kind of been lost to time. So I don't, it's got kind of a newer case style. So I would assume that if you sent one in to AFA for qualified grading, that they would grade it, but I don't know for sure. Okay. So just keep that in mind. But that was a qualified 80 grade, and it sold in an auction for $935. Big number on that one. And 32 bids. So that's just not an item you see pop up very often, either in buy it nows or at auction. So I'm not terribly surprised by that price. Just the weapons for the Uzay headman, I mean, it can approach like crazy numbers, many multiple thousands of dollars just for the shield and the sword for the headman Uzay Turkish Bootleg, which kind of looks like the Emperor's Royal Guard. But anyway, that one did sell $935. I hope you enjoyed this look at recent sales for loose graded UKG, CAS, and AFA graded vintage Star Wars figures. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.